Right. In this video, I'm going to show you the real fix to the United States economy, and I think that too many other things are getting too much attention. Although I don't think they should be ignored, there's something that's not being paid attention to. It's the 401k system by far, and I mean it is not close. When you compare it to taxes, to campaign finance laws, to any other things you can think of, the 401k system is what is separating the rich and powerful from the poor and the middle class. So let's talk about this. Cash out balances under 1,000. So if you end up being under $1,000 in your 401k, the employer can just mail you a check. So now, why is this a big deal? Well, let's say $900 in 1969 to March of 2009, that scary bottom, can turn into over $20,000. And this is I'm using one of the worst years you can possibly use. Let's shift this. Let's shift this so it's 40 years and see what it's actually worth today, shall we? So let's take 1983 and let's hit calculate. Now I'm ignoring fees and dividends, so we're following basically what a Vanguard. That's how much money you're throwing away. Like a Vanguard S&P 500, which is what index fund, which was around back then. Almost $60,000. So $900 in 1983, yeah, they just kick you out and mail you a check. Well, that's almost $60,000, over $50,000 you're throwing away. So anywhere between 20 and 55,000 is what you can probably expect. A lot of money, and that's just for like say a 22-year-old who's going to retire at 62. That doesn't include the money that's getting thrown away at 32 and all the years between 22 and 32. Has a lot of time to run up. You see how this number snowballs. Okay, so that's that part of it. Then we have the safe harbor IRA rules. So these are people who are just like the $1,000. They save up a little bit more than the 1,000, but the 401k provider has the option of kicking you out of the plan. But here they can't mail you a check, so they have to put it in another account. They either have to roll it over to a personal IRA, or what they have this special IRA account called the Safe Harbor IRA, and until the end of this year, 2023, it's been $5,000 or less. Now with the Secure Act 2.0, there's a lot of good things about the Secure Act 2.0, but this is one of the bad things. It's going to be $7,000. So if you're under $7,000, they can put you in a safe harbor IRA. Now let's take a look. Let's take a look at those safe harbor IRA rules. As you can see, where does it say down here? It's designed to protect your account principal. Now, you just saw those two examples I just showed right here, right? In 2009, you go back, we went back 40 years, and here we went back 40 years from today. You can see how much it grows. Well, let me just show you all of the other ones. Here's 2008 to 2009, March to March, 1 year return was negative 40%. Now let's take a look at, this has got to load back up here. Let's take a look at what it does over. Sorry about that, I did not, okay. Let's set this. So over 30 years, you can see, if we change this to March, so I'm going to take the worst possible time, it's still over 10%. Okay? So if you have $5,000, you're going to make 10% on your, I mean, if you have, say, $4,500 or $3,500, you can still make 10% on your money, as long as you buy and hold. Here is another example. And okay, so this obviously was cached, and I lost the. Okay, no problem. We'll just set this. We'll just change these. I know where to. So the another example is 2002. So let's take the 1 year return. And we go to December, that's when it bottomed during the .com bubble. And we can see you lost 20%. I'm just taking the 1 year. Now let's go back 30 years. I tried to do this ahead of time so that I didn't have to do all this, but apparently I probably don't have enough cache and memory. So here you can see it again, it is 10%. Another market crash. 1974, and let's go back. So we're going to go back 1 year. So here's 1973. It also bottomed in December. You can see negative 26%. Now let's head back 30 years from that. And where are we at? Voila, over 10%. So all three market crashes since the mid-70s, these are actually all the worst crashes since the Great Depression, for that matter, have all averaged 10% or more over the 30 years span. The one exception is if you go back 40 years from March of 2009, it's actually still 8%. Now, as I've said before, you're anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000. You're throwing, as you saw right here with $900, you're throwing this much money away. Imagine if we change that number to 3,000. Okay, so now it's sitting in a principal protection. So now you don't necessarily lose the or you don't necessarily get a check, and people are not going to take it and spend it. That's what the studies show that most people do, is they get the check and they spend it. Well, here you're just going to be in a principal protection where you don't lose money nominally, but you're basically throwing, how much money is this now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now you're throwing away $3,000 in 1983 would be worth over $1 million today. Is that what that says? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I'm sorry. That's 6. So that's almost $200,000, $190,000 versus, I don't know, you're probably going to get maybe a 3% interest rate over a 30-year period. That's a lot of difference right there. Okay? Now the rich, the top 1%, don't have to worry about this $7,000 rule. They'll easily put in $7,000 in 1 year and not have to worry about any of this. You as a middle classer will probably take 2 or 3 years to reach these balances. Now here's another thing that came. This is one of the good things with the Secure Act 2.0, auto enrollment. And so it doesn't talk about this on the Retirement Clearinghouse page where it talks about the Safe Harbor IRA rules, but one of the things that the Secure Act 2.0 did is it's going to auto-enroll all the new hires. So everybody who was a new hire from the beginning of 2023 and later will be auto-enrolled in the year 2025, or that's when it's a requirement. There's probably already plans that are already beginning it now, but that's when it becomes law. So this is going to really help out big time, right? And then we have small businesses adopting 401k plans. So Paylocity, Paycom, all these, TriNet is another one. All these HR outsourcing programs that these small businesses can use to automate their HR and payroll. They can start using these. Actually, Paylocity already has 401k plans for small businesses. So if we can fix these two things up here, A and B, this along with this can really start to spark building wealth for the bottom 99%. And the other thing I want to show you is the Retirement Clearinghouse. If you go to their YouTube channel, they have, if you actually watch this video, you can see that they have been working with the major 401k providers, and what they have done is they have gotten 40% of the market to auto-port the money to the new 401k provider. And remember, they don't kick you out
Did
right
you
away.
ever stress about us having 3 kids?
It actually takes 6 months for them to do this, so it's not something that happens immediately. But you can see they're very passionate about auto portability and moving it over to the new 401k provider, so that you can grow your assets over a long period of time. The other thing I want to mention is to get these gains that are 10% over 30 years. Remember, this includes dividends reinvested. One of the problems is um, if you keep buying the same fund in the same account, you won't know what dividend and reinvestment to sell. So what I do is, because you can see your buy order, right? You can see how much you purchased a certain security, a certain mutual fund. But then when the dividends go to reinvest, when you add more principal to it, some of those dividend reinvestments in one transaction, some of the dividend reinvestments are going to be from the investment you made in this example from 1944, and some of these are going to be dividend reinvestments from principal that you bought in 1960, and everything in between. So when you go to sell and try to realize this 10%, you got to sell your original buy order from 1944 and only the dividend reinvestments that are associated from this time frame. And the problem is that it pays. It's one transaction for all the shares that you own in that account over the years that you purchased. So that's what makes selling it a little bit tricky. So that's where I came up with ideas. We're making the account numbers have dashes in them, like -01, -02, so it pays the dividend just for 1944, so you can figure all that out. Or perhaps create a new system of mutual funds that are time-based or whatever, and in that way, we can actually realize these gains. So, but yeah, I hope that helps everybody understand where the real problems are. This is enormous amount of money over a long period of time, and I think the reason why we don't comprehend this is we see the market going down sometimes in a 6-month span or a 1-year span, and we don't fully. That's like climbing a mountain that's really, really, really steep, but then hitting, a little bit of a period where you're actually going down. Well, the trend of a mountain is almost a 70-degree, or a really, really, really steep incline, right? Just because it's going down, just because you're going back down, maybe in this, climbing up that mountain, it's a steep hill over the long run. So, and the same thing is true with the S&P 500. So we need to fix this. So if you think this video is helpful, give us a like, share this with your friends, and I would also appreciate if you guys also perhaps made more videos like this one. Maybe some of you guys have more video editing skills, better video editing skills than I do, give better speeches than I do. Go for it. Let's get this message out there, and let's fix this 401k system. Own the corporations, guys. If we own the corporations, we all win.